All right, what's up, guys? In today's video, we will be discussing foods to eat when dieting to control hunger. So I've been bulking, cutting on and off for about 8 years. I've been as about as shredded as one can be, almost bodybuilding stage ready. I've lost 40 pounds in 13 weeks, so I feel pretty comfortable to discuss how to do this. All right, step one. This isn't a food, but it's some advice. I highly recommend intermittent fasting when you're trying to lose weight. Now, intermittent fasting is when you only eat within a block of time, okay? So it's when you only eat within the window of time. So I recommend you can do whatever you want, but I recommend 16-8, 16 hours fast, 8 hours window where you can eat. So for example, I would eat from between the hours of 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. I'd wake up about 5 a.m. I wouldn't have my first meal until about 12 p.m. Now, of course, you can drink water and black coffee during this time, but you can't eat food. And the purpose of this is to help you control your hunger. At first, you might be a little hungry, especially if you wake up early, waiting a long time to eat food, or waiting a couple hours after you wake up to eat food. But eventually, your body will adjust and get normal. Your body will realize, okay, I won't eat food until after I've been awake for 7 hours. So I know not to start getting hungry until 7 hours in. Okay. So I highly recommend intermittent fasting. Again, you don't have to do a 16-hour fast, 8-hour eating window. You can do whatever you want. You can do a 20-hour fast, 4-hour eating window, a 22-hour fast, 2-hour window eating window, a 14-hour fast, 10-hour eating window, whatever you want. But in my personal experience, as someone who's done this a lot of times, I recommend 16-hour fast, 8-hour eating window. All right, now let's get into the foods you can eat when dieting to control hunger. So number two, vegetables. Vegetables are very, very important. They're full of tons of micronutrients, and because of this, they're very satiating. And another bit, meaning they make you full relatively easily. And another benefit of vegetables is that they're pretty low calorie for the quantity. So some options you have are corn, peas, broccoli, green beans. Of course, I mean, I personally just go to the grocery store and I buy like bags of vegetables, pretty cheap, about $1.50 per bag of corn, peas, broccoli, green beans, and I literally just boil a pot and I just throw them all in the pot and I just make assorted veggies that way. All right. So you also can any type of vegetable works as long as it's not particularly high in calories, and there's none that I can think of right now that are particularly high in calories. So you can also eat carrots, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, cauliflower. Those are all options. These are options that I know of that are extremely low in calorie and satiating. So what I like to do is I like to mix these veggies in with the protein to make me even more satiated. And we'll get into the proteins here next. But vegetables, if you eat vegetables with every meal, you'll certainly feel more full and you'll feel less hungry. Okay. All right, number three, satiating foods, high protein foods. So the thing about high protein foods is that they're very, very satiating. Okay, unlike carbs, which aren't satiating, they just make you more hungry. Hungry. So if you ever ate fast food, this happens to me a lot. Whenever I eat fast food, I'll eat like 2 sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles. That's about almost 1,000 calories right there. But I eat 2 sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles, and I'm hungry for more. And that's because the carbs, make you more hungry. So here's some examples of high protein foods. And these high protein foods that I'm about to discuss are all extremely low in calorie and high in protein content. So you have your chicken breast. You can make bone or boneless chicken tenderloins, just any chicken that's not fried, essentially. All right, you got ground beef, ground turkey. When you're on a diet, I recommend a 93-7 ratio. 93% lean, 7% fat. I recommend 93-7 because it has the best price ratio. If you go any higher, to about 98.2 or 99.1, that gets a little more expensive, but 93.7 is pretty reasonable. You can do 88.12, 80.20, but the calories increase, the protein content decreases. So unless you're on a bulk, I wouldn't recommend it. It's not ideal or optimal, rather, for dieting. All right, so next we have fish. For options for fish, you have tuna. You can eat canned tuna or just regular, packet tuna. You can eat tilapia, pink salmon, flounder. Those are all options. And what's great about fish is that it's super easy to eat. It's rather satiating. It's high in protein and it's low in calories. And what I like about it most is that it's super easy to eat. So that's an option. Again, you just throw veggies with all these meals. You can measure out about 4 to 6 ounces of veggies. That's very low in calories. Have about 8 to 12 ounces of protein, such as fish, chicken, ground beef, super low calories. That's a pretty satiating meal. All right, next up we have Greek yogurt. It's not as satiating as the high protein foods, but it is like a snack that is very low in calories and high in protein content. So most cups of Greek yogurt are about 90 calories, 15 grams of protein. So highly recommend Greek yogurt. We have egg whites. What's really great about egg whites is that they're satiating, and if you eat like a full carton of egg whites, like one carton, standard cartons are about 460 grams of, in terms of weight, and they're 250 calories and 50 grams of protein. That's pretty universal. One carton of egg whites is only 250 calories, but like it's a ton of food, right? So it fills you up and it has 50 grams of protein. And you just have to think about how great of a ratio of protein that is. 250 calories, 50 grams of protein. Throw some seasoning on it. Sure, it's not the best tasting food, but it is satiating and there is a lot of it. All right, next we have eggs. Not as satiating as egg whites, but it's another option that's satiating and high protein. All right. One large egg is about 60 calories and 6 grams of protein. So you need a couple of those if you want to, be more full. And last on the list, we have beef liver. Beef liver is great. It's high. It's super healthy, high in protein, low in calories, like all these other foods. And what's also beneficial about beef liver is that it has tons of micronutrients that are super good for you. So I highly recommend you eat these foods when dieting to control hunger. In terms of carbs, I actually don't really eat too many carbs when I diet. And personally, I think if you eat extremely high protein and get your vegetables in, unless you're doing super high intensity stuff, you probably won't need that many carbs. All right. But again, we're talking about foods that are satiating, foods that you eat when dieting to control hunger. Okay. So if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you're interested in coaching, I offer one-on-one coaching, how to become a hybrid athlete, how to bodybuild, how to lose muscle, or how to lose weight, rather, how to bodybuild and run concurrently, all that good stuff, how to be a hybrid. If you're interested, the link's in the description. And I will see you guys next video. Peace.